Hey everybody, this is my 55-gallon Gourami tank, and today we are just going to do a simple before and after video. I'm going to get in here and do a water change. I'll probably clean out the filter. It's been quite a while since I've done that. In fact, I don't even remember when the last time I cleaned the filter out, and that's usually a pretty good indication that it's time to do it again. So we're going to be doing that. I'll get in there and wipe the glass down, just basic stuff. The only thing I'm going to do that will be any different in this video will be that I want to get in here and clear out duckweed. I always bash on duckweed and say how much I hate the duckweed. I really don't. I actually kind of like the duckweed, but it is a high maintenance plant. It grows really fast. It will cover the surface, and just if it's something you don't like, it can be really problematic. It's kind of a nuisance to get out of the tank. Not that big a deal. It really is just a matter of clearing it all out, but it's just insidious for one or two little pieces getting, trapped somewhere that you didn't notice, and then you've got it in your tank again. A week later, you've got duckweed everywhere, and so it's a little trickier to get rid of than, just say pulling that Java fern out and then it's gone and you're done with it. But at the same time, it's not like it's some terribly invasive plant that gets all over everything and is going to, kill your other plants. You'd have to let it go pretty far to really become that problematic in your tank. So again, it's just kind of like mowing the lawn. It's something you just got to do and keep on top of it. And getting in here and scooping some duckweed out is going to be part of today's activities. Now, if you look at these little scrawny stems that just sort of are nothing, but they have a few little flowers at the top, or a few little leaves at the top. They almost look like they could be like Dr. Seuss trees or something. Those are actually temple plant. And they look like that because I've got gouramis in this tank. Right now, I've only got the two. I've got that little honey gourami you can see back there, and then I've got the larger moonlight down here, and they really do enjoy their plant material. I suspect these Siamese algae eaters might nibble on them too, but I've never actually seen them doing that. I know the gouramis will chew on that, and if you look at the roots on my water sprite there, you can see how sort of stumpy and chopped off the roots are. Most of the time when I have roots hanging down into a tank like this, they're long, flowing, they would be taking up a huge portion of the tank over here if they weren't constantly kept in check by the gouramis getting in there and chewing on them. Sorry about all that glare behind me. That's all from the waterfall tank. So I might pull out some of the water sprite. You can see how many individual plants there are. Every one of these, root masses is another entire plant in there that I could pull out. So, I mean, really, I could just sort of leave this bigger one right here and then remove all those others. And the idea is to just get a little more light in the tank. It's getting kind of dark on that left side there. But, again, that's going to be my biggest thing that's going to be done while we're in here. While I'm actually doing the water change, if anything comes up or if there's anything I can think of to point out or show you that I think is worth getting on video, we'll have a look at that a little later on. But in the meantime, we're going to consider this your before, and there's your after. So like I said, not a lot to talk about, not really much going on in this tank. I did the glass like I said I was going to do. I did maybe a 25 to 30% water change. It was significant, but not huge. I wound up removing the large piece of water sprite from the tank. The roots were just really far down into the tank. The foliage at the top had grown up and out to the point where it was curling up against the glass, and it was getting damaged by the heat from the touching that hot glass from the light being right above it was damaging it. So that's the one I removed. I left the smaller pieces in there. They'll grow back and they'll fill back in. You can see I removed a lot, but obviously not all of the duckweed. Again, not a big deal there. It's just a matter of having to mow the lawn from time to time, so to speak. The only thing that is worth note was when I was in the filter. I'm not going to show a clip of it or anything. I did shoot a standalone video of it. It's a couple of minutes long. If you want to actually see what I'm talking about rather than just hear the explanation, you can go ahead and check that video out. I'll attach a card to it when that one's ready. But I always thought that it did not have the UV light in it because I simply didn't put the UV light in it. I really don't use the UV light, so what's the point in even installing it? And that's kind of what I always assumed, but I always thought it was a bit odd. Whenever I opened up the filter, the UV bulb itself should be inside of a glass sleeve, and that protects it from coming in direct contact with the water. And every time I've opened up the filter on this tank, that glass sleeve, not only, in addition to not having a bulb in it, is always full of water. It's just completely filled with water. And I've just always kind of scratched my head to that. I figured maybe without the bulb being in there, I don't know why the bulb not being in there would cause it to fill up with water. But when I was in there looking at the filter this time, I noticed that the little cap that goes on top that covers the switch, it's usually clear, because in there is a little indicator light, and you can look down through that cap and see that the UV light is really on, or whether, it's in the on position but the bulb is burned out or whatever. In this case, that little cap was completely opaque white, and it was really, really stuck on there. I had to use a knife to dig it off and pry it off. And once I pried it off, there was simply no switch, there was no indicator light, there was nothing. It was just empty guts of where the switch and everything should be. So I have no idea what's up with that. I don't ever remember buying a filter like that. I certainly don't ever remember disassembling anything or taking anything apart like that. I have absolutely no idea how I got a Sun filter without the hardware for the UV light installation. So over all the years I've been using these filters, and the way my memory is, who knows, I may have bought it that way deliberately and just have no recollection of it. I really couldn't say. But I've got a Sun filter that doesn't even have the capability of installing a UV light in it. So I don't know if anybody else has experienced that or not. I asked in the other video if anybody else has any experience with that to let me know. And I'll say it again here, if you have any idea what I'm talking about, or if you've ever gotten a filter like that that was, maybe only 60 bucks instead of 90 bucks, and it came without the UV, is that a thing? I don't know. I don't ever remember buying one like that, but at the same time, I know I never took one apart like that. Only one time did I ever try to get into the inner workings of a Sun filter, and then I just decided why. Why bother? They're just so cheap, just buy a new one. And so that's the only thing I ever remember as far as trying to get into a Sun filter, was that I thought about it but then decided not to. And yet I have a Sun filter whose guts have been removed, at least to some degree. So anyway, that's really all there was to speak of. Otherwise, not really, a whole lot going on. Did a water change, wiped down the glass, and the filter wasn't really as dirty as I expected it to be. It was, it was ready for a water change. I mean, it was ready for a filter change or anything, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't all gross and nasty like I was expecting it to be. I thought it had been a really long time since I had done a water change, and apparently it had not. So, like I said, there you go. That's about all there was to talk about on this one. Not a lot going on. So thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.